Hi guys, Melissa here, and the theme for this week is magical creatures. So the first book we're going to read is Puff the Magic Dragon, written by Peter Yarrow and Lenny Lipton. And then we're going to read The Midnight Unicorn by Neil Reed, followed by Our Rhyme in The Real Mother Goose. Okay. This one also comes with its own music CD. It is available for checkout, so be sure to ask for that if this one does interest you. Puff the Magic Dragon lived by the sea and frolicked in the autumn mist in a land called Honolulu. Little Jackie Paper loved that rascal Puff and brought him strings and sealing wax and other fancy stuff. Puff the Magic Dragon lived by the sea and frolicked in the autumn mist in a land called Honolulu. Puff the Magic Dragon lived by the sea and frolicked in the autumn mist in a land called Honolulu. Together they would travel on a boat with billowed sail. Jackie kept a lookout perched on Puff's gigantic tail. Noble kings and princes would bow wherever they came. Pirate ships would lower their flag when Puff roared out his name. Puff the Magic Dragon lived by the sea and frolicked in the autumn mist in a land called Honolulu. Puff the Magic Dragon lived by the sea and frolicked in the autumn mist in a land called Honolulu. A dragon lives forever, but not so little girls and boys. Painted wings and giant's rings make way for other toys. One gray night it happened, Jackie Paper came no more, and Puff, that mighty dragon, he ceased his fearless roar. His head was bent in sorrow, green scales fell like rain. Puff no longer went to play along the cherry lane. Without his lifelong friend, Puff could not be brave. So Puff, that mighty dragon, sadly slipped into his cave. Puff the Magic Dragon lived by the sea and frolicked in the autumn mist in a land called Honolulu. Puff the Magic Dragon lived by the sea and frolicked in the autumn mist in a land called Honolulu. The end. Okay. Millie heard the jangling of Casper's leash and put down the clay unicorn she was shaping. "Anywhere special you want to go today?" asked Dad. "The park!" Millie cried, her eyes shining with excitement. "Okay," said Dad, "but wouldn't you like to go somewhere else for a change? Aren't you tired of visiting that same stone statue?" Millie shook her head. She couldn't explain it, but the park, and especially that one statue, were the most important things in the world to her. The park was quiet, except for the sound of dry leaves crunching under their feet as Millie led the way down the path. "Almost there, almost there," the quick rhythm of her feet seemed to say. One more bend in the path, and there it was, a small stone unicorn, mottled with age and weather, slightly mossy around its hooves. "We can't stay too long, Millie," said Dad. "I'll be right over there on the bench if you need me." Millie ran her fingers over the unicorn's closed eyes and gentle mouth. It had the kindest, wisest smile, and she always felt happy when she was nearby. "It's only been a week since I was here, but I've missed you so much," she whispered, stretching on tiptoe to be closer to the unicorn's ear. As Millie pressed her hands against the statue's graceful neck, she felt the stone shiver. Suddenly, the unicorn's hooves lifted off the ground, and he pranced beside her. "You're alive!" she gasped, feeling surprised but not afraid. The unicorn pressed his nose softly against Millie's cheek, and then bent his magnificent head so she could climb onto his back. The ground fell away beneath them as he sprang into the sky. Casper bounded after them, barking with joy as his paws left the pavement. Up and up they flew, high over the park and Millie's neighborhood. She kept her eyes shut tight against the rush of wind, and when she opened them, she was amazed to see a bright full moon, a sky suddenly full of stars, and lights twinkling in all the houses below. The town clock struck midnight. As Millie and the unicorn flew over the hills and forests and lakes, dark clouds gathered around them and thunder boomed. "Storm up ahead! We have to fly fast to beat it!" Millie called out. The unicorn put his head down and charged through the angry clouds. Rain rushed into Millie's face. She could hear Casper whimpering as he galloped close behind them, trying to keep up. "Don't be afraid, Casper," she cried. "We've almost made it." As they blasted through the last bank of clouds, Millie cheered and patted the unicorn's strong neck. He swooped down low over the tops of glistening moonlit mountains so she could run her fingers through the snow. "It's beautiful here," said Millie, "but could we find somewhere warmer now?" The unicorn whinnied softly, and in no time at all they were gliding through the warm desert night. Millie waved at the sleepy camels far below on the shimmering red sand dunes. "I've never seen the ocean," Millie told the unicorn. "Could we go there too?" The unicorn turned sharply, and soon they were gliding over a sparkling sea. Waves rolled and crashed along the beach, and when Millie looked closely, she could see that there were other unicorns prancing in the foam. The unicorn spiraled down, 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 right into the breakers. Millie laughed as they bucked through the salty spray, racing the others. Casper was panting and falling behind, so Millie gently pulled on the unicorn's mane. He climbed easily into the air and landed on a rainbow where Casper could rest. All alone in the dark sea, below them was an island. It was lit by a shaft of golden daylight, and at the end of the rainbow, and Millie saw that a herd of unicorns waited on the beach. One by one, the unicorns welcomed Millie, nuzzling her neck with their velvety noses. When she had said hello to all of them, her unicorn led her to rocky paths she could explore and crystal clear streams she could drink from. Butterflies and the scent of flowers filled the air. At last, exhausted by all of their adventures, Millie, Casper, and the unicorn lay down on the soft grass. Butterfly wings fanned them into a deep, calm sleep. "Wake up, sweetheart. It's time to go home." Millie opened her eyes and looked up at her father. "Were you worried about me, Dad? I was gone all night. The unicorn took me to see the mountains and the desert and the ocean and—" Dad gave her a hug. "You have a wonderful imagination, Millie." "But it was real," she started to say, then stopped herself. She and Casper and the unicorn knew the truth, and that was all that mattered. "Ready to go now?" asked Dad. "Almost," said Millie. She stood beside the statue and kissed its smooth forehead. "Thank you, my midnight unicorn," she whispered. And as she turned to follow her father down the path, Millie was sure she heard the unicorn whinny a soft goodbye. The end. So our rhyme for today is Peter Piper. And it goes, Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers. A peck of pickled peppers Peter Piper picked. If Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers, where's the peck of pickled peppers Peter Piper picked? Thanks, guys.